Okay, my friends, this should be really good. History of the Earth. What was the first complex life on Earth? Once again, Fair Use Act. I'm not stealing anything. I want to add my content to this and comment on it in a transformative way, because the things that I have found are transformative to anybody's mind. I mean, no matter what you've been thinking before, if you see what I have to show, you will have to start thinking again. Okay, let's take a trip back in time and see what this guy Robert Plot discovered. Now, this is in the 1600s, and he was a material scientist, a guy that wanted to see something. How did this occur? What caused these fossils? Back then, they had no clue about fossils at all, it appears, from what they're saying here. Now, this is from History of the Earth, and it's called What Was the First Complex Life on Earth? I'm doing this under the Fair Use Act because I'm going to comment on this in a transformative way, I'm sure. Because very few people understand the things that I have discovered, and if you can go against them, that's what I would like. I'd like to have some interaction that contests what I show in a realistic way, not just, oh, you got to be crazy, there's nothing they could eat that could be that big. And these are the things I cannot explain. I explain the material side of things. How they got here, whether they came out of space, I have no idea. None. Zero. I have a couple of little theories. I don't normally float the theories because there's nothing to stand behind them. I see the creatures are there. And there was ancient text that talked about them being able to morph, to be able to change into anything they wanted, butterflies, anything they want. They changed into pigeons and birds and all kinds of stuff. So they had the ability to transform themselves into what would probably be able to, have intercourse with women, because that's what they said. They came down, 200 of the bad angels. This is a text that written. I didn't write these texts. I'm just telling you what was written. And the only way I can account for the things that I have found is to put it in these ancient texts. And there were some bad guys, gods, that came down and did whatever they wanted with the women. Now, they couldn't come down as dragons and so forth, and that's what we're finding, is dragons everywhere. Dragons everywhere. So, and then they talk about Jupiter, who is Zeus, being able to transform himself and have sex with all kinds of women and everything. I mean, and these are apparently the ones that took over and did these kind of things. That's exactly what it says in some of the biblical texts and other texts. It's not just the Bible. So that's the point of view that I'm coming from, is I believe that everything that was written in the past has to at least be looked at again. And the mythology now becomes the history, as far as I'm concerned, at this point. If you can change that, that's what I'd like to see. But I think the mythology changes our history back to what it really was. All right, so here we go. Robert Plot is presented with these gigantic bones. Listen.
Is a skeptical man of science, and with no way that he can see for living things to be preserved in solid rock, he tends to favor the salt crystal interpretation.
All right, what they said was originally, just like now they're saying all of these tendon fibers they have nothing to do with biology. They're just quartz, extruded quartz from magma, or, they come up with all kinds of crazy things. And I've shown very, very clearly their biology. Now, back then, they did the same thing. These things they couldn't account for. Well, salts all reconfigure, and they do this, and they do that, and some of this, and some of that, and before you know it, it looks like a foot. Well, no. And it doesn't look like a goose either. And it doesn't have feather patterns in it from salts. I understand this stuff better than anybody on the face of the planet right now. If there's a geologist or a biologist or an ologist of any kind, I am certainly willing to discuss and present my findings. So anyway, That's my rant for the moment. Here we go.
He has spent the last few years studying the shell-like fossils found in Oxfordshire quarries, likening them to the crystal patterns produced by, of all things, crystallized urine. But not all structures to be found in the rocks can fit this simplistic crystalline explanation. Plot eventually concludes that this magnificent specimen is in fact a petrified leg bone of some unimaginably large creature.
That's tiny. That's absolutely tiny. I have one here. I'll show you a bone. You want to see a bone that's good size? It's just a piece, but it's way, way bigger than this, and it's also stone now. And this he could lift up with 2 hands. It took him 2 hands to lift it up, but that's not much at all. All right, I'm going to show you blood in here in a second. When I originally found this, I thought, oh, somebody left a piece of concrete laying around. No, it's not concrete, it's a bone. And look at the size of this bone. Just go with the curve. Think about the size that bone would be around in a circle. The thing is going to be like absolutely huge. Gigantic. I could figure out the size, but I'm not going to bother. But it's all smashed up. See, it's all broken up. All right, but it had a center where there was still some biology left in there, and then there is some around the edges where the blood vessels fed. But it's also got all that collagen fibers on it. We're going to look at it in a microscope now. All right, we're going to be looking right down at just the surface in general. I believe it's actually right on the edge, and you should be able to see some blood and so forth and some of the fabric. Now, hold on, we're going to be going up here. I have to turn the lights off. Hold on. You see, they would just call this feldspar, which is all these little fabrics in different colors and all these balls all over. Now, I'm going to turn the lights up a little bit. You see? These are blood colors. These are the fabric of the bone. It's really like a fabric of a bone. And I'm going to show you some other shots of this bone, but this it's a gigantic bone. I mean gigantic. Okay, here's the microscope. There's the bone. Now, remember I told you there's a little bit of residual actual bone material left in the middle, and there it is right there. Now we're going to look at it in a microscope. I mean, the thing is just absolutely phenomenally large. Now hold on. It's there, but let me turn off the lights. All right, this is on the edge of that bone, which is gigantic. And this is a blood vessel of some sort. A little pocket on there. Now I put a little water on there, so it's a little... But all those holes are not from concrete. That is biology. All right, the red and the black is all over this thing. That's biology. Let's see if we can get it really right on top of that. Well, you can see all the fibers and fabric and all that stuff in there. Hold on. Let's see if we can get inside there. That's a little hole, but it is biology. I've shown this hundreds of times. So this thing here, I don't know how big around it. It's got to be much bigger than any bone that would exist today, I would think. Alright, so is there any way I can figure out how big this bone was? Well, maybe. Now, this is, I would say, approximately a quarter of the way around. Alright, because then if you continue on over this way, you'd be somewhere over in that direction. Alright, so I'm going to say this is coarse. So this thing is 4 times around is the circumference, which means how big around this bone is. So it's 4 times this. Alright, it ends up that this thing is, if you took 4 of these, you'd have 48 inches. It's a little over 12 inches. So let's go 4 inches, is 4 feet. 48 inches around this one particular bone. Okay, here you go right here. This was a giant of Castellano. And they found this huge humerus bone, a leg bone. And the bones were discovered by Lapouge in the Bronze Age cemetery during the winter of 1890. His findings were published in the La Nature. The height of the giant was estimated at about 11.5 feet, and the bones were dated in the Neolithic period, the journal included a photo, and so forth. Now, he's saying that the cylindrical shape of this bone, which is the upper leg bone, the circumference was almost perfectly cylindrical, and it was 16 centimeters. 16 centimeters is approximately 1/2 of a foot. My piece that I showed would be approximately 4 feet. So that would be 8 times bigger than this. And at first I thought, boy, that's huge, but it's actually not that huge. Because my big giant I think is about 160 feet. And if this was only 8 times bigger than this, if it was only 11 feet tall, a little puppy thing, we're talking right 100 feet maybe. That's not big. The one I have here, this fingertip, is 3 feet long. You see this? Same thing as always happens. No modern peer-reviewed study has been published about the alleged giant bone fragments. Well, no will publish about anything. No matter how substantiated it is, it's just overlooked and it won't be reviewed. Now, this is almost 3 feet long from back to front, to the very edge of the fingertip. This is the fingernail. Just take your time, look at it slowly, carefully. This round pad here is what goes between your finger bones. And that's what your bones rock on, so that they don't scrub and destroy the calcium. Now, these are the vein and the artery, which lead up into the 2 holes on the side and the other 2, and there's 2 holes on the end. That's how the fingertip blood supply works. And there's all these tiny little blood vessels that go across, and that's where the artery is separated from the vein, and that's the return. Now, this you would call this sarsen stone. It's identical to sarsen stone. And it is hard. And it is nucleophilically transitioned the entire casing into this really, really hard stone. And inside is hard as well, too, but it's not the same. And I can show you, I had to break off this piece to get down inside where the blood is, and here's where the blood is. Alright, this is the piece I broke off, and it still literally has the fingerprints on there. This, everybody knows what fingerprints are, and that's what they are. Now, you may not know, though, that there's these little sweat pores in all the fingerprint ridges. And there they are right there. All right. These are the fingerprints. They take off very, very close to the fingernail. And my thumb is approximately the width of one of these ridges, like a fingerprint ridge is on your hand. Now, this is an extremely keratinized, cornified fabric that coats, and that's what this is right here. Can you see that? No, you can't. That one right there I have in the microscope, which is this one right here, same piece. All right, and the thickness is very thick. And I will show you that you'll see some skin pattern, and then it goes into the fabric, this cornified stuff. And then below that was this, which still had some pretty good blood in it. But this just peeled right off. I'll show you. Now, let's look at this in the microscope. Again, that's the piece right there, and we're going to be looking at that edge. All right, because that edge is the interface between, well, you'll see in a second. Hold on. All right, let me turn the lights off so that we can see this a little better. Hold on. All right, this is the skin. That's literally the skin that's on the fingertip. Hold on, let me back out of here a little bit so you can see how thick this thing really is. All right, this is the skin. Now, I'm going to put my hand, my two fingers around. That's the thickness of the skin right there. You see it? This red area here, there was a little blood vessel here that leaked somehow. And this, again, this is in the finger. Very, very rare that you find blood right at the surface, because this is tough as it can be. Now, I am going to put a little bit of water on there, and we'll see what happens. Keep your eye on it as it dries up. Now, you see this black layer, and you see this red layer. That's the key, and this, I believe, is the blood vessel that leaked this red out. The red leaks out. The black is a different story. The black hardens up as vein blood, but they always seem to travel together, the black and the red. Well, you know, you have a vein and artery. Now, this is the skin side, outside, that scrubs against the world, and this is the side that just glues, literally glues, onto the fingertip. Okay, I think I probably showed you that fingertip, the huge one, 3-foot long one, and that piece that I broke off. This is the underside of it. It literally glues. It's just like glue. It just separated right off when I bashed it with a very heavy hammer. I was expecting just a chunk to fall off, and it just popped right off. And that's the underside of it. And basically it glues. It literally glues to the flesh. Okay, this is the exterior surface that faces out and scrubs against everything in the world. Now, I'm going to move this over because it's broken, and we should be able to see off to where it splits. You see over here, we're coming off of that. This is the outside of the skin. And this is the feldspar, same as all the other feldspar. And what it does is it seals the inside, which is this right here. And it turns it into sarsenstone. And a very, very hard basalt. And I mean, when I'm going to click it in a second, you're going to hear what something really hard sounds like when it clicks against something else really hard. Alright, I showed you that huge fingertip. This is the skin, which had the fingerprints in it. And it's split here. That's the thickness of the skin. It's very thick. Now listen to this. That's tough stone. That's really hard stone. And that's the stuff that they have at Stonehenge. It's sarsen stone. Because Stonehenge is nothing more than a huge pile of body parts as well. Now, here they're talking about evolution news. And does fossils demonstrate human evolution? I can tell you what, I got giants. I have motos, which is not a normal human. They have springs inside instead of bones. I've shown you so many things that we have to reconsider. What is evolution? What is evolution made of? Now they're talking about a comprehensive guide to science and faith. Well, I'm finding out that geology, biology, and history, and I think it has to lead to some kind of a faith, some kind of an understanding of if there's any meaning to it. If you have a faith that there's nothing to it, forget about it. That's your faith. Well, my faith is that the things that were written, and the things that were written about Jesus Christ, I'm going to go with that for now. You know, I don't want to ever turn anybody off from Jesus Christ or any other religion. I don't care what you have for a religion. Whatever faith is your faith is your faith. And if you have no faith in anything, you say, what is that? You're just going to die, turn into dust? Who cares? Do whatever you want. Well, I don't think that's a good idea, but that's just my faith, which I never had any. And you could have counted me among that, and I would laugh at anybody that said all of this stuff could ever possibly be true. I would just completely just go into hysterical laughter, which is what happens to me. But I have always been able to stand back and say, show me the evidence. I mean, I might have started laughing like hell. I had water rolling out of my eyes, but I'm going to tell you, I would say, show me the evidence. And when a guy showed me, I think I'd freak out. Because I did just find it myself. But then I freaked out finding that nobody wanted to know. They didn't want to, evidence means nothing anymore. Absolutely nothing. Proof is just ridiculous now. Proof is just like, why even show the proof? Nobody cares about proof. Nobody cares about proof. You see this in politics. It's just absolutely hysterical. If it wasn't for the fact that we're all slaves to these people. Unbelievable.